Apple this morning is feeling the sting of high expectations. The company's stock got hammered after the release of its quarterly earnings Tuesday. Apple reported nearly $50 billion in revenue. I repeat, $50 billion in revenue. That is up 33% over last year. Profits surged to more than $10 billion. But sales of the iPhone fell short of Wall Street expectations. And CBS News contributor Nicholas Thompson is editor of the New Yorker's magazine's website, NewYorker.com, and he's with us here to tell us what is going on. So we're doing well, and their stock is going down.
It's going down dramatically. Yeah, when the numbers started to come out yesterday, it looked like another good quarter, but then there were two bad things in there. One, the iPhone sales. Right. iPhones make up over 60% of this company's revenue. This is an iPhone company. If sales miss expectations, that's a bad sign. And then secondly, when they put out their predictions for the next quarter, they suggested that sales would be soft again. So people thought they saw maybe a trend and maybe this explosive growth was slow.
Is it because the market is saturated, or the people who want iPhones are buying other kinds of phones?
It would be more because the market is saturated. That's the fear. There's not a lot of switching from Apple away to other phones. Satisfaction is high. Tim Cook talked a lot about that yesterday. It's more that the market is saturated, and perhaps they won't be able to grow as much in China as they have previously, where their growth has gone up dramatically.
It still doesn't make sense to me that their profits rose 38%. They still had very strong sales. They were just off expectations by 2%, and so they lose $66 billion.
But this is a company worth $760 billion. I mean, the expectations are that the market has priced in massive growth forever, and as soon as there are any signs of slowing, that's bad for Apple.
Yeah, the expectation was 50 million and they sold 47. That's still pretty good.
Yeah, but Apple always beats their expectations. Okay. So if they're 3 million under, I'm with the market on this one, Gail.
Let's talk about.
But did they create the expectations, or did stock analysts create the expectations?
Stock analysts created. Apple, of course, always sandbags. Yeah. They say we're only going to sell 5 million next quarter, right?
That's a good point. Let's talk about the Apple Watch. All three of you have one. Yeah. I have mine at home in the box. I'm going to take it out soon. But they didn't release the numbers at the Apple Watch. Why not?
No, they said early on, they said a long time ago they weren't going to release the numbers because they didn't want to give any competitive advantages to the other people who are frantically trying to catch up in Apple Watches. So they weren't released. But if you dig into the earnings and you look in the category where the Apple Watch is, you can see that they sold about $1 billion worth of Apple Watches, which they say they're proud of, they say they're happy of, they say it beats internal expectations. It doesn't seem like a huge number, but we won't know for a little while how it's really selling.
One of the really interesting things in the finding was that Apple sales doubled in China. What does that tell us?
Yeah. That tells us, so this is why Apple has grown so much in the last years. They are booming in China. And in fact, the uptick in iPhone sales in China vastly exceeded other smartphone sales in China. So the question is, as China's stock market has gone down, as China's economy weakens, whether they can continue that.
But isn't it true also that Android phones are declining as well?
Well, it depends on the different kinds of makers of Android. Like Android phones is a percent. The total number of Android phones sold is massively increasing as many more people in the world get phones, right? Lots and lots of people coming online. And Android has the low end of the market. Apple has the high end. If you look at the average price of an iPhone, it's huge, which is how they can sell 50 million phones and have such great profits.
So we don't need to worry about Apple just yet.
Apple will be okay. Tim Cook has his retirement fund. He's all right.
All right. I like Tim.
I don't think he lived for retirement.
Thank you, Nick.